Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. I know y'all tired of me. I have not made a video in like 4 months, but y'all know how I do. I get inspired by something and I'll pop on and do a video, and then I might go ghost for 2 or 3 more months before something else inspirational happens that I want to talk to y'all about it. But the strange thing is, I swear to y'all, I have been thinking about a way that I can start incorporating YouTube into my schedule more. I swear to God, like I say this every time I come on, because I still have not found a way to do that, like to prioritize YouTube. And then I had like 2 or 3 people last week hit me up randomly. Like one person was my old sister-in-law. I wasn't married, but and she's like, hey girl, was watching your videos, like it was super inspirational. And then I had a cousin that I hadn't talked to in a minute hit me up about videos, and it was one more person, I can't remember who the last person was, but at any rate, like a few people hit me up about videos. So like I tell you, I know how God speaks to me, so that was my little hunch to be like, all right girl, it's time to make videos. And of course, with that, then I had like some interactions over the weekend that kind of prompted what I'm gonna talk about today. So, like many of my videos, this video is going to be an extension of just the process that I went through in terms of ending my long-term relationship, and the things that I'm still learning to this day, that are kind of bringing that process full circle for me. So, where do I want to start? Let me start this video by saying, of course, nothing that I say in this video is meant to like be taken as a jab at anybody or anything like that. I'm just speaking my truth. So let's see. I guess the topic that I want to talk about today is that breakups don't have to be messy. Breakups don't have to like have a long-term impact in terms of how you view that person or your ability to not feel a certain way about that person long term. So long story short, it recently was announced that my ex has started a family. And let me be completely honest with y'all, like I have not looked at his social media page in over a year. I'm the type of person, and it's funny because I had this conversation with one of my guy friends. We were talking about like relationships ending and how oftentimes it gets messy because that person still has access to you. That's not me. Like, I'm not that kind of girl. When I'm done, I'm done. Like, I don't need you emailing me. I don't need you text messaging me. You're not gonna call me. Like, all you blocked on everything. And that's something that I stand by. I just don't feel like one thing that I say is that when you have access to me and you take advantage of that, like when I feel like I no longer want to mess with you, like you no longer have that access to me. Like that's just how it goes. If you can't appreciate the access that you have to me at the time, then you just have to deal with how it feels not to have access to me. So like I said, I'm not like, I'm the type of girl, once we done, you ain't got to worry about me. Like, I'm not going to be stalking your social media pages. I'm not going to be hitting you up in the middle of the night, nothing like that. So, of course, I haven't been looking at anything to do with him for over a year now. Like, it's been a year and some months. Like, it's been a long time. And so, I had received news that he was expecting a baby. And honestly, I heard the news and I didn't feel anything. And then, of course, as the news was made public, when they decided to make the news public, I had people calling me and checking on me. And the truth be told, at first, I was, let me see, if I had to identify how I was feeling about it, I was annoyed that people were calling me, because it was, I swear to y'all, it's something that's so far out of my mind. The fact that I continuously had to address it out of respect for I appreciated the fact that if something were going on that people felt was affecting me, they were taking the time out of their days to call and be present for me, to be supportive of me. But it was one of those things, I mean, people that I hadn't talked to in forever, like they would text me and I was like, all right, I already know what the hell, I know what you want, like, come on, let's address it so I can go on and do what I have to do. And honestly, the funny thing is, I still have unopened messages in my phone just because it was something I felt like I was giving too much energy to, trying to like soothe other people over or make other people feel okay about it. And I was like, look, I can't give it my energy because I really don't care. um and so the word that I would use to describe how I felt was like I got irritated. I was kind of irritated with it. But, in talking to people trying to understand like why this was this big thing, people get attached to the outcome of a story. And so for a lot of people, this was the first time they were being made aware that we weren't together, when they saw it. So from that perspective, I guess I understood people's concerns, but goddamn, like I was like, y'all, if y'all don't leave me alone, like, baby, let me tell you, like I told my best friend, I don't want to be associated with him anymore. And it's not that, I'm not saying that in a mean way or like in a way to say like he's a bad person or anything like that. It's just, for me, the way I explained it to my best friend, I felt like in that moment I was in this glass house naked and people were like watching me and waiting for a reaction out of me. And if you follow me on social media, I post memes and funny stuff all day long, and I found myself being very conscious of what I was posting because I didn't want to post anything that I was just like, I would have posted anyway in general, and then people take it and run with it and think that I was addressing that situation. And furthermore, like I was telling my best friend, I think sometimes, like, I was more so frustrated because I feel like anytime a baby comes into this world, it's such a beautiful moment. And I didn't want people to include me in that threesome. Meaning, it should have been about them and the new baby, not them, the new baby, and how Shantrice feel about it kind of thing. And just as a side note, so when me and my best friend talked about it, it was because she had found out. And she hit me up and she was like, Trees, like, I need to talk to you. And I was like, all right, call me. And she was like, no, we need to FaceTime. And it was funny because I happened to be on the road late that night. I had went out to support one of my DJ friends, and he had an event somewhere during the week. And I remember she called me and I was like, call me, I'm on the road. She was like, no, I need to FaceTime you. And I was like, okay, this is weird. I thought something was wrong with her. And, so we FaceTime. I cut the light on in the car so we could see each other. And she was like, Trees, like, and I was like, yeah, I know. And she was like, I think she kind of felt away because I hadn't told her, but the way that I explained it to her was, it wasn't something that I needed to process, when I heard the news. So it didn't hold any weight in my, in how I felt. So it wasn't something that I immediately thought to tell her. It wasn't something that I felt the need to tell her at all. And I hope I didn't offend her as her best friend, and, that being something that she felt like I should have came to her with, but I really didn't feel the need to tell anybody. And so I went through a process where I had to be okay, or I had to understand that unfortunately a lot of people go through relationships and they go through the changes in relationships, and I think a lot of people are used to carrying that baggage forward. Like, when I tell y'all I did the work to get to this point where I'm not bothered by that stuff. And I guess, I also couldn't wrap my mind around the fact that, when I walked away from the situation, of course, in my head, I knew, okay, at some point, both of us would split off and get married and start having children. So to me, it wasn't that big of a shock. And again, because I know, like, that's a situation that I'm done with, I couldn't understand why people were bringing that to me. And so the point that I want to make today, or what I'm trying to convey, is that breakups don't have to be messy, y'all. Like, it's so healthy to process the reason that, you and another person didn't work out, and then just let it go. Like, let that person move on. Let that person, live a life independently of what you thought that your life with that person would be. And again, I didn't realize how it caught me by surprise how many people like wanted a reaction or was expecting a reaction out of me. Like, even this past weekend, I saw a lot of my family that I hadn't saw in a while, and of course they knew that, they wanted to pull me to the side and be like, you good? Like, do we need to? And I'm like, yo, like, no, we good. Like, it's not something that I wake up and think about every day. And again, I'm just taken aback, and I'm surprised by how many people, I guess, were connected to our situation and the outcome of our situation, and now this is, I guess, something that they are having to process. Because of course, when we ended things, it wasn't something that was public, because that's just not how I maneuver through life. Like, I'm not the type of girl that when something happens, I gotta, bash that person, or, because I feel like we ended on decent. It just wasn't a situation that was gonna work out anymore. So it was no need for me to like tell my side of the story, or it just wasn't a need for that. So I guess when the news came out, it was something that people that have been following our story needed an update on. Like, they needed to understand. That's the way that one of my friends explained it to me. He was like, people get attached to or when people have put two people together for such a long time, and then they see one person move on, like, wait, but that's not Chantrice. Like, help me understand where the disconnect happened. People just need to understand what happened for their own closure. So I guess that's something that I have to understand. But again, and not only in relationships, I think in friendships, and well, I guess I should say not only in intimate relationships, but with friendships as well. It's okay to end situations and not incorporate, I guess, and not like feel like you have to keep up with what the other person is doing thereafter. Like, I've had friendships that have ended and I couldn't tell you a thing about their life, because I don't know, when I disconnect from something, I disconnect from it. I think that's the purpose of moving on. Like, when you make the decision to move on from something, you're saying, okay, this is no longer serving a positive purpose in my life. So it's something that I want to be removed from my life so that I can move forward. I can do something different. I can become a better person. So what's the need in still like keeping up with that person, or still allowing their actions and what they may be doing to take part, like to have a part or play a role in your daily life? And again, y'all, if I'm overlooking something about why that matters, or like help me understand the thought process behind it. But y'all, I promise y'all, I'm fine. I am so happy with life. I'm so thankful for the growth that I've experienced as a woman. And again, it was expected to me. Like, it only made sense that at some point one of us would get married or have a kid. Like, I don't know. So again, that was something, I think I was more shocked by how many people was worried about what I thought about it than anything. Because I'm fine. Like, I'm happy for him. Like, to see him take that step in his life, and like, that's a huge responsibility, and that is like something that is going to take a lot of that's a situation that is going to force someone to grow, whether you're ready for it or not. So I definitely, like, I am happy for him, and I say that as genuinely as I know how. It is what it is. Like, and I look forward to my future. Is and it wasn't a situation where I feel like, oh well, now I have to rush, or somebody, when they hit me up, they said that should have been you. I was like, nah, it shouldn't have, because I do believe everything happens for a reason. And nah, dog. Again, when I'm done with somebody, I like to be done. So I couldn't imagine us having a kid together and then having a co-parent and all that. It would have just been a mess. So I'm happy for that situation. I want us to work on being okay with allowing things to pass, like allowing situations to no longer serve us, and not feeling like we have to stay connected to those situations. It's okay to have a breakup, experience a breakup, to grow and learn from it, and then to move on. You don't have to stay connected to that. You don't have to keep up with what the other person is doing. And like, I can't do that. And that's just, I guess, how I'm built with stuff. People try to soothe you over with the cliche saying, what he lost was best for him. And I would tell people, look, I can't say that. I know I'm a good person. I know I'm a good woman. I know what I bring to the table. But if he found somebody, or has somebody that's bringing out a better side of him, I can't say that he lost what was best for him. I think we worked well together in the time that we were meant to spend together. But now I'm not that shallow of a person, or I'm not that what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not that egotistical of a person to say that I'm going to be the best thing that's happened to somebody. Like, that's just not the truth. If a person can find somebody that fits better in the mold of who they're meant to be as a person, that can help them along better, I'm happy for it. I can't say that in good faith. I can't say that. And that's not something that I feel like takes away from me as a woman, because I know what I bring to the table. I understand the role that I'm meant to play in my partner's life. So even those little nuances and people saying things like that, I was just kind of annoyed, because it does nothing for me. It doesn't make me feel any better, or any, I don't want to say better like something was wrong, but you get what I'm saying. Like, I know who I am, I know what I bring to the table. So those little things that people say to try to soothe over situations, like, it was just empty. The word, it was just like an empty phrase for me. But this was a little introduction video to, I shouldn't say introduction video, because I ain't gonna lie, I don't know when the next time I'm post, but I hope I wasn't rambling. I hope what I said makes sense and y'all got the true nature of what I was trying to convey. And I will talk to y'all in another video whenever I post another video. Happy Monday.